Okay. This meeting is held as a virtual meeting, given that the Illinois governor has declared the coronavirus pandemic a disaster. I have determined that an in-person meeting is not practical or prudent because of the disaster. I have also determined that it is not feasible due to the disaster and the disaster declaration to have a library trustee, the library director, or the library's attorney present at the library. Okay, call to order. And roll call.
Is everybody hearing fine?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Oh, that's what I'm supposed to ask. In fact, I think I have to ask you each in person.
Oh.
Correct.
Okay, so each trustee should verify and confirm at the beginning of the meeting. So Anne?
Present.
Jennifer?
Here.
Andrea?
Here.
Bonnie?
Here.
George, did I miss anybody?
Here.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Okay.
5. Okay.
All right, now roll call. I mean, now Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
We're not
of
doing
the
the
United States of America and to the republic for which it
Stands
one
nation under God, indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
The Warren Newport Public Library District provides the community with access to information, kindles the imagination of children and adults, and supports lifelong learning. Would anyone like to speak in public comment? Correspondence?
No, we don't have.
Okay. All right. Anyone want to remove anything from the consent agenda?
Yes, I would like to move the May financial statements from the consent agenda.
Anyone else? Okay, who would like to move that the consent agenda be approved?
So moved.
Who is moving?
I'm sorry, this is Anne. I so moved that what she just said.
And it
This
is
is George. I'll second.
okay, good. Any discussion?
I mean, we're making a motion for approving the agenda minus the statements, or,
Yes.
Minus the May statement. Yeah.
okay. I just want to make sure. And George, you're seconding, right?
Yes,
Correct.
George.
Thank you.
And it has to be a roll call, Gina.
Katsinis,
Aye.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Cheng,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
Arnold absent. Ayes have it.
Okay, Andrea.
I removed the May financial statements because in May we voted to move $1,000 to the endowment fund from the unrestricted portion. And that was not reflected on the statements for May or June. I corrected them, made a correction by hand. So I'm proposing we just move the $1,000. We don't worry about any accrued interest on that $1,000 in May or June because it would be very small and really not worth the extra accounting.
Okay. So to have this roll over to the next time? Is that what you mean?
So, we would just approve the May statements as corrected for that $1,000.
Okay. Okay.
And I did give Ryan the pages where I had corrected them manually.
I can show that on the screen. Give me 1 second.
Thank you, Andrea, for catching that.
I missed it last month. Well, I missed it 2 weeks ago, but. Do we really need to see it? I think everybody understands. Ryan, you're muted.
Ryan's not talking.
That's fine. If it's a, yeah, you're right. It's a pretty standard correction. I'm happy to send out that document too if everyone wants to see it. If that's better.
It's okay.
Okay, would you like to make the motion then, Andrea?
I move that we accept May financial statements as corrected for the $1,000 moving into the endowment fund from the unrestricted portion of the special, is that this, what's the name of that fund? Not special reserve, it's
Expendable trust to endowment.
trust fund.
I second it.
That was Bonnie.
Bonnie, sorry.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, let's have a roll call.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Cheng,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Beckwith,
Aye.
I Miss Farkapisi,
Aye.
and Arnold absent. Ayes have it.
Okay. Next is President's report. Questions, comments, concerns? I have one thing I want to add to this, which is that in finishing up the personnel policy work from the last meeting, which had that new policy, remote work.
Yeah.
Gina caught the fact that we had been trying to change the format of personnel policies to match the format of personnel policies in the way that the exhibits are the extra information or forms is part of an exhibit and not part of the pagination of the whole policy. So I just want to let you know that we're going to, there's only two that need to be changed. They are 530 remote work and 503 harassment, discrimination, and retaliation. So with your permission, we're just going to change the format of that without another review date. Is everybody good with that? It's
Yes.
just a format change.
Sure.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to mention that because I don't want to do it without letting you know. Okay, anything else on my report?
No.
Okay, anyone else have a report?
This is George. I just wanted to mention, I drove by the library last week and happened to see a brand new Ford van in our driveway. Just wanted to ask if
Oh, cool.
that's the one that we're thinking about.
Congratulations.
Ooh.
That is, it is. And I should send out a picture to the board to see
Yeah.
it. Yeah. It's
here it
really, it's really awesome. I had the pleasure of getting a chance to pick it up, and yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's tremendously spacious. I mean, you see it, and it's gonna. I can't wait till we get it customized to fit our needs, because I think it's
Right.
gonna make a big difference. So, and Andrea is showing it. So
It's
That's
like
nice.
twice the size of the old van.
it really is, because the old van is the Ford Transit Connect, where this is really the biggest version of the Ford Transit. So it's got that the extended rooftop, and then inside there's just a tremendous amount of space. So it's going to really be great for our outreach services.
You can stand up in it and raise your hand and just barely touch the ceiling.
Wow. Awesome.
Cool.
Terrific. That's exciting.
Anyone else?
Yes, I've driven by the library a number of times signing checks, and I picked up some books from the reserve, which worked out perfectly well. But the parking lot is looking good. The landscaping is looking good. Just sorry that more patrons can't see the landscaping.
Oh, the landscaping's fabulous. It looks really great.
Yeah.
My report, that is the end of my report.
Okay, then Ryan, you're up.
We'll talk more about library operations update, and then moving into WNPL phase 6 in a second. But the one thing that's really not mentioned in the report, because it's more of a recent development, is after the same week we had committee of the whole that Thursday, I met with other intergovernmental leaders at Viking Park. So we were outside in social distance. We had masks as well. And we had a really good meeting about a lot of things, updates about what's going on in the community. And specifically, we talked about EDI initiatives, equity, diversity, inclusion initiatives in our community. And one of the things that Mayor Kovarik wants to do, and we all agreed upon, was to not only work on what we're doing internally, like we talked about our own EDI committee at the Warren Newport Public Library, but also send representatives for a community-wide initiative, and that's what we're going to do. So it will consist of 1 or 2 representatives from obviously us, the Park District, all the school districts, Warren Township, and some other community members as well that have expressed an interest. I think
That's great.
from the Warren Township High School's Black Student Union Group, for example. So it's going to be a good representation of individuals that will work together to come up with, ways as a community we can actually get some things done. Because I think as we all agreed, yes, we can improve the way we do things internally within the Warren Newport Public Library, but to make a difference in our community, we all have to work together.
Mhm.
So I don't have more details than that, but we all agreed this was a great idea. There may be an opportunity. Maybe we'd send someone from the staff or someone from the board, or maybe a couple of members from the library staff, or maybe someone on our friends group who want to be involved in that as a representative for the library. We'll figure it out. So when I have more details, I'll share them with you. But I
Great.
think that's a nice
Yeah.
start. And it's going to take time. I mean, as we know, but I think that's the right approach. Any questions about that?
That's great.
Okay, so where are we now?
Well, we're still under director's report, but
Okay.
next is library operations update, unless there are questions.
Anybody else have any questions on Ryan's report?
No.
Okay, yeah, then we're ready for operations.
Yeah, so we are excited, maybe a little bit anxious about next Monday when we move into the phase 6 of the WNPL's reopening plans. So we're meeting daily, the management team and a couple other key staff members, including Jen Hoy, our HR associate, Eddie Christon, our security supervisor, and we're just going over the issues day by day. And as we're leading up to it, we have less and less to talk about. So I feel good about where we are in terms of how we're going to pull this off. We know by talking to the libraries, the first day is going to be particularly busy. So we're well staffed. We're going to have security at the doors, kind of acting as the greeter to just remind people of the rules if necessary. We're going to have signs posted all over. I'm going to be there if necessary to maybe briefly say hello to people, but if I need to interact with patrons and security is busy, I'll do that. We've got managers that are back up in case there's a situation they need to deal with. So it's all hands on deck for Monday. And we've got the safety protocols in place. We're doing a staff training tomorrow on how to handle situations with patrons, such as someone comes in and someone refuses to wear a mask because they feel it's a violation of their rights, or someone thinks COVID-19 is a hoax and they're just not going to wear a mask or whatever. We're training staff on how to deal with all those situations. And Eddie has come up with a really great training. He's quite skilled at dealing with these situations, and we're going to be ready for anything that might get thrown at us. So
Good.
we've got it figured out how we're going to offer computer services. Computers are spread out. The self-checkout machines, 3 of them are going to get distributed throughout the building. There'll be 3 at the front. The circulation team we're still going to do the contactless holds pickup. We moved that into meeting room B. That
Okay.
used to be in the lobby. So the lobby's open now. So we're ready for traffic in the lobby. We've got the plexiglass dividers up. We'll be putting stickers on the floor to indicate social distancing. So, we're as ready as we're going to be, or at least we will be by Monday. So I don't know if staff have had a lot of questions. So we're finishing an FAQ for those unanswered questions we haven't provided staff. That'll go out later this week. We'll have an all staff meeting this week to talk about, Monday. So, what questions does the board have about moving into phase 6? Questions, comments, concerns, something that I haven't shared with you want to know about? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And then I have one other thing I want to ask the board for your feedback on.
So Ryan, one of the pictures you sent showed 100 patrons at one time in the library. Is that right?
No, we'll do
Oh.
50 pages at a time.
50
So
at a time. Okay.
yeah, so we've had this technology for a while, and apparently our subscription ran out. it's this people counting technology. It's a
Right.
thermal sensor when people come in. And what the technology will do is it will basically, when someone comes in, it will go up 1. So we've got 1 person in the building. It will go up 2 if a second person comes in.
Oh, wow.
One of those people, they decide to leave, then it goes back to 1. So we'll have this a monitor at the front, so staff and the public will be able to see where we're at in terms of occupancy in the building. So that's how we're going to monitor foot traffic.
And when you get to 50, is Eddie or someone there to tell people?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we think that may be an issue a few times the first day we're open, but talking to other libraries, like Indian Trails, for example, there's some similarities between the population they serve and us. Obviously, there's some differences as well, but they're averaging about 20 people at a time in the building. So I anticipate we'll be around those numbers. So I don't think we're going to really come close to that 50 person threshold, except maybe that first day. Because I anticipate the first day people will be excited to come back.
Right.
And a lot of our regulars will be coming back. So we may have some issues the first day. So I'm hoping for nice weather on Monday. Although people can still, wait outside.
I was just going to ask you, so you'll be waiting outside
so
like the stores have done. Okay, so if people have done any kind of grocery shopping or anything else, they'll have seen, the lines outside till it's appropriate to go in. So it's nothing new, I guess.
So,
right. I don't think that'll be a big issue, but
Problem. Okay.
having been there last week to sign the checks and go in the library through the front door because the parking lot was closed, Eddie was using me to test the counter, and it was like a 1-second delay and it worked. But I also want to add that the library looks that this was all done. So there are carpet squares instead of stickers or duct tape on the floor. The plexiglass dividers
Really
look
nice.
beautiful.
Yes.
Kevin and his assistant, they did them, and I saw the check for the materials. It was $1,200, so they did a great job at very little cost.
Yeah.
Kevin really needs to be commended. I mean, I think they look nicer than anybody's anywhere.
I agree, Andrea. Joe and I were there a week or so ago, and they look very finished, not just thrown together, some places. So it's very nice.
And they're bigger. They're huge.
Mm-hmm.
So with the very, a small hole, but they're not just like a 2-foot square thing.
Right.
yeah, absolutely. Kevin has done a great job, and really, everyone, the circulation team, the tremendous amount of work they've done. They're working so hard, and it's only going to get harder next week. Obviously, the security team led by Eddie, he's done a tremendous amount of work getting us ready. I mean, everyone has. I mean, it's all hands on deck. Adult services getting, figuring out how we're going to do the computers, provide that safely. Sandy's done an awesome job with communications. If you look at social media, we're getting that information out to the public now, so they'll know how to, how to use the building, and her team with all the signage they're creating. It's been a lot of work, but we're all working really well together. And like I said, I'm excited, although a little bit anxious about next week as well. And I know staff is anxious as well. But we're giving them the tools they need, the information they need, and the supplies they need to be able to work safely and provide an excellent service to our patrons. So I think we're in a good spot. One thing I wanted to mention, one of the things that other libraries are doing is they're waiving charges for copy services, print services, fax services. And so it came up, do we want to do this? If you look at our budget, we were anticipating about $30,000 in income from copy, print, fax. But if you think about we're going to get about a quarter of the normal traffic we do. Best case scenario, that would be cut to like $7,500 for the year. So that's about $650 for the month. I would like to not charge for those services for all kinds of different reasons. Number one, it's good for patrons. It gives them a little bit of a break because a lot of people are hurting right now. Number two, it helps out staff because it limits our interaction with patrons, because a lot of times they have issues with those machines, those coin-op machines. So we would eliminate that interaction with staff and the public. It would also would eliminate the need for staff. Usually it's Doug and Jen out of the admin office to go and collect that money. So that is a loss of revenue, and every dollar counts. It's certainly insignificant, but I wanted to kind of get the board's feedback on that before we make that call. And I think the other reason to do it is that if other libraries are doing it, we're not, then people, that's another thing we have to deal with. Like, why are you charging when this other library isn't? So I wonder what the board thinks. Andrea?
Will there be an upper limit on how many people how many copies people can make? And, I take it it's not going to be restricted and available only to Warren Newport card holders. It would be available to everyone. And how do we prevent people coming in and making 200 free copies? I mean, is there a way to set the printer, or, I'm not too concerned about a fax machine because it doesn't really take supplies, but.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way we can 100% guarantee someone isn't going to go to the copy machine and make 100 copies. I don't foresee that being an issue. I don't think that talking to staff based on the way people usually make copies, that they, usually when people make copies, that they have a document, anywhere from 1 page to maybe up to 10 pages, and they make copies of that. Talking to staff with usage, so I don't anticipate that being a problem. But I don't think there's any way especially because we're going to be very focused on, making sure the public, they're using our buildings safely to police the copy machines, honestly. So
I'm confused.
don't
Are
think
you
we can
using,
guarantee
you're
that.
doing it for the first month, or you're doing it indefinitely?
Not indefinitely, just at least for the first month or two while we're in this phase. That's
And
the
if you're
thing.
trying to limit, money exchanging and staff and patrons having to, be in contact, I think at least for the first month, it's a good way to open the library and just kind of see how much of that's going on. And then, we can decide as we go along, maybe.
I'm for it, but I don't want to advertise it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're not gonna put it on social media or anything like that. Go ahead,
Okay.
George.
One comment I'll make. I don't like the idea overall, because you can see people going in and using us as a service to self-publish their novel. Not that I object to people writing novels, but I don't want to be the one publishing it if they can't find another publisher. But I do think for right now, there is another compelling reason why we don't want to charge, and that is a simple and annoying logistical reason. There is actually a national coin shortage right now.
Yeah.
So if we're asking for quarters, there aren't any.
Really?
So,
Right,
at
even
least
some
for
of
now,
like the drugstores,
sense.
even some of the drugstores aren't giving you change and stuff.
Wow.
I got a bucket upstairs.
there are banks that will charge you interest to bring them that bucket.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Charge me interest.
They'll give you.
They will pay you interest if you bring them that bucket.
Pay you interest.
They
Oh.
will pay you X number of cents extra on the dollar for coins right now.
Why is that the case right now? What's the problem?
Because the mints are closed.
Yeah, okay.
Making
That's what I
currency.
thought. Yeah. Most people are using credit cards anyway, so you don't exchange money and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
that anyway.
Coinage is still wearing out, but there's no new coinage hitting the market.
And I should point out, one of the reasons that I'm sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
Does anybody have objections to this plan? I saw Noreen raise her hand.
No, I have no objection. I just wanted to point out that during this phase, we're also trying to limit people to half an hour in the library.
I was
There's
going to ask that. Yeah.
message being promoted, and they're only going to get a half hour on the computers. This is kind of come in, get your stuff and go, and no lingering. And, we're not offering a lot of contact with, the staff for lengthy interactions about computers and things like that. And we will every half an hour be running a message that reminds people that this is a limitless, quick run in and get your stuff thing.
Okay. I wondered about that because, if you get 50 people in there at the beginning of the day and they stay, for hours,
And
So
there's
that's
no
good.
chairs. There's no chairs.
Oh,
There's
Okay,
no
so
place.
the question is, so how do you get books?
you still go through the stacks, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah.
But
So, so if a patron wants to come in and patrons can still come in and browse the collection. We just don't ask them
Okay,
to. We ask them to limit it to a 30 minutes and then
got
leave. Because if, like, I think probably everyone on the Zoom call, we're all very capable of going into a public library or a bookstore, any place there's a lot of books, and we could spend hours there
Yeah.
and just lose track of time. So
Understood.
we're asking patrons to have a purpose to go in. Yeah, you can browse and you can even pick up a book, and if you decide you don't want it, you can put it back on a designated book cart, so we can, quarantine it. But, just, have a purpose, browse for purpose and grab what you want and then check out and go home. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
got it. Thank you.
And is the contact list going to continue during this time also?
Yes, we're the initial plan is to do it. I think right now we're at daily from 9 to 10, and we're going to adjust that based on demand because we're not really sure what to expect with contact lists.
Yeah.
Because we do know there will be patrons that will not still won't be comfortable coming to the library, and
Right.
we will serve those patrons, but we just don't know what to expect. So we'll adjust that based on demand.
Okay. And I saw the hand sanitizer stations and all of that, so that's good to see around.
And Sandy's making amazing signage about the basics, what you have to do and what they're supposed to, masks and all that stuff. So it's very obvious when you walk in the door what's expected of the public.
Good.
Yeah, and another thing that we're doing is we're having a little internal campaign, because one of the things that's great that the board knows is that we pride ourselves on our level of service. That we, in fact, sometimes when I've read incident reports in the past, I thought to myself, like, staff, they were a little bit too friendly to this patron that crossed the line big time, and they should have probably put their foot down before. So we are telling staff that we want to prioritize safety over service. So if obviously we want to serve the public, and we will, but if you think it's going to endanger your safety, then let's pump the brakes a little bit. For example, we have patrons that use our computers that really need a lot of assistance using the computers sometimes, and we're going to need to limit the assistance we provide them, which is unfortunate, and we don't like to do it, but just to do it safely, we have to draw some lines, that we shouldn't cross. So.
And Ryan, when a patron comes to the door and doesn't have a mask, are we going to have any masks available or no?
We are not. We have been advised by our attorney Roger Ritzman not to do that, because that's one of the questions they had for Roger.
Okay.
And he suggested not do it, which I have mixed feelings about, honestly. But when your attorney advises you to do something, you do it.
Yeah. Right.
We don't want to be liable for what type of mask. Was it good enough? And everybody knows, and it's pretty,
Wow.
when I go out, I see about 100% of compliance.
I do too.
People with it below the nose, which is as good as nothing.
Right.
But,
It's true.
I think generally people are compliant. And I do believe that Eddie's going to have a zero tolerance policy, that they don't get in the door if they don't have a mask.
If someone doesn't have a mask, and maybe the patron will come in and they aren't able to wear a mask for medical reasons or other reasons, we will accommodate them at that time. So if we need to pick up some items for them and deliver them to their vehicle, we're happy to do that. So we certainly will be able to serve those patrons one way or the other.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on this?
Good luck.
Yeah. Okay, so we're on to the ordinances. You want to just introduce the first one, Ryan?
Yeah, so the building sites and maintenance ordinance, this is something the board passes every year, adopts every year. And this allows us that 0.02% tax that goes towards maintaining our facilities, capital projects, that type of thing. So this is pretty standard. If you've been on the board for a while, every year you've been on the board, you've seen this ordinance. It hasn't changed other than the dates. So it's a pretty standard ordinance. It's part of the series of financial ordinances that the board will pass starting now, going through December, I believe, with the obviously the levy ordinance.
Okay.
Okay, who would like to make a motion on this, please?
Bonnie, I'll move that the board approve ordinance 2020/2021-1, building sites and maintenance.
Gina, it's Joe.
Jennifer. Arnold, absent. Cheng,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Hinsdale,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, next one.
So the non-resident card program, just as a reminder, if you read the ordinance, you see that we're not participating. You may think to yourself, well, why aren't we participating? Don't we want to serve non-residents? That's not what this ordinance pertains to. This basically means that basically it doesn't really apply to us because there are no residents that don't already get service in Illinois that their proximity is closest to our district, if that makes sense. So basically we're saying we're not going to participate because we can't participate. Does that make sense? It's always hard to explain this, why we say.
So in other words, if it's a person is a non-resident, they have to get the card at the library that's closest to them. And those non-residents around us are closer to other libraries than they are to us. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay.
Joe, you explained it much better than I did. Thank you.
Okay, so I move that the board approve ordinance 2020/2021-2 non-resident card program. It's me, it's Joe, Gina.
This is George. I'll second.
Discussion? Okay, let's have a roll call.
Sutton,
Aye.
Arnold, absent. Farkapisi,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Cheng,
Aye.
Hinsdale,
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, next one is budget and appropriation.
Yeah, so this is the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance. So this is basically modeled after the budget that the board passed. If you look at this ordinance, so what it does is it details the budget that you passed, but also what we've done is we've put the appropriation in as well for that budget line item, and what that basically, that appropriation means, I think most of the board members know at this point, is that we could technically overspend a budget line without the board taking any action. Obviously, I'm informing the board and anytime that happens. But an example that's a good example to use is snow removal, for example. We budget a certain amount, but if we get the worst winter ever, let's hope not, because we deserve a good winter after all we've been going through. Well, let's say we have a bad winter, it snows all the time. We might blow through not only what we budgeted, but we might blow through what we budgeted, so we appropriate more.
Right.
In that line, in most lines. So if we do have an overage, something that's unforeseen, we're covered. In the event that we have to spend more than what's appropriated, then I would come back to the board and ask you to make a change to the appropriation. So this is part of that process. This is part of transparency to voters. So what happens is this gets shared with the public. There's a hearing in September where if anyone wants to come and express to the board their opinions about the budget, they can. And following that hearing, typically the board will adopt the actual budget and appropriation ordinance. And then after that, of course, is the tax levy. There can be a truth in taxation hearing, but that's only if you budget or are going to levy greater than 5% of what you levied the previous fiscal year. We're not going to do that this year. I can tell you that already. We typically don't, so that won't be an issue. So, so this is part of that process. You know, we talk about, you know, the budget is kind of like that first part of the year. Really, the budget process kind of continues. At least the formal side of it is starting now. And the timing is weird because you're thinking to yourself, we just passed the budget for this fiscal year. This is how the state of Illinois works. So we're just following the process. Any questions about the tentative budget and appropriation ordinance?
All right, who would like to make this motion?
I'll do it. This is Ann. I motion that the board approve ordinance 2020/2021-3 tentative budget and appropriation ordinance.
I'll second that, Jean. It's Joe.
Okay.
Discussion? Okay, I'll have roll call.
Cheng,
Aye.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Arnold, absent. Sutton,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Parkapisi,
Aye.
Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay, so next is to set the hearing for the, right prior to the September regular meeting. So who would like to make that motion? I'll do
I
it.
will.
Okay, fine.
It's Bonnie, Gina. I move that the public hearing for annual budget and appropriation be set for Tuesday, September 15th, 2020 at 6:45 p.m.
I'll second that. It's Joe, Gina.
Thank you.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Cheng,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Arnold, absent. Beckwith.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Okay. June financials, Andrea.
I've looked over them. There's really not much that changes when there's just 1 month left out of the year. I'm going to share screen because I would like to show everybody. Got to get the right screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
That's probably the wrong screen. Let me try this again. Should be this one. Now, let's see. Well, I want to point out that our fund balance increased by $388,000. I can't see which screen is sharing.
Expenditures and changes in fund balances is what's up.
Yeah, I think we're selecting the right screen, Andrea.
Okay, great. So do you
Yeah.
see my mouse?
Yeah.
So our net changes in all of the funds, we're ending up with a fund balance 388,000 higher than what we started. We started at 6,208,000. We ended at 6,596,000. Of course, we turn around and spend a big hunk of that on the parking lot right away. Our building and sites and maintenance fund dropped by 107. All the other, the biggest gain was in the other funds, 386,000. So if I go down to the other two funds, and here we can see net changes in fund balance. So the special reserve fund was the one that really went up. Every other one went down. But it's a good thing when our fund balance goes up. Good job, everybody.
Good.
That is a good thing.
Questions? I don't have any other questions about the financial statements other than with the endowment, with the expendable trust fund, I'll go up a page. This is where we were talking about that $1,000.
Ah,
It needs to go in this fund, so we'll be at 30,833.
okay.
So this one, if we want to approve, it has to be approved with the change also, correct?
As corrected, correct, absolutely.
Okay, are we ready for someone to make that motion, Andrea?
Yes, if no one has any other questions.
Just one thing, Andrea, on the endowment fund, then that would go down 1,000, is that right?
Oh, it would go
Or
up,
up? It would go up, and the other one would go down. Okay,
right, so we can't
Got
spend that money anymore.
got it.
I move that we accept the June 30th, 2020 year-end financial statements as corrected.
I'll second that. That's Bonnie.
Thank you.
Discussion? Okay, roll call.
Parkapisi,
Aye.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
King,
Aye.
Linsdau,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Arnold, absent, Beckwith,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Okay, audit of regular meeting minutes. At the last meeting, Bonnie and I said that we would do it because we had to go sign documents. And so we did go to the library on July 9th and took care of the audit. So just FYI.
Thank you.
Let's see. August Committee of the Whole.
Yeah, so we were, Joe and I have talked about, and the board actually talked about this at the committee of the whole meeting. When can we meet again in the library? So the biggest issue isn't so much safety, it's more of a space issue, because I think the boardroom is too small to do adequate social distancing for the board. And if we have some people that want to attend, because we have to account for the public, even though we typically don't have members of the public come to a board meeting, it's obviously they're open meetings, so anyone can come, as some of us remember from the past. Big crowds. Shouldn't have that now, but you never know, I guess. The other, so if the boardroom is out, I think that the flex is probably too small as well. So you're looking at our meeting rooms. The issue with that is that meeting room B, for the contactless holds pickup service, that's been relocated to meeting room B. So you might remember me sharing a picture where staff was set up in the lobby. Well, since we're opening on Monday to the public, we've had to shift that into meeting room B. And meeting room A is the quarantine room for return materials. Now, if you, I have a picture, I can show you what that looks like right now. So I can find my picture. Give me 1 second. So there, you know, there aren't too many items in there right now. Although I think that's probably subject to change. I think we will get quite a few returns as we reopen. You know, so even if you were to move those bins, you know, over to the corner or something, I mean, I guess it's doable, but it would take some work, and maybe I don't know if Noreen has any insight onto that in terms of what we expect the room to look like, in you know, that first Tuesday in August, or Kevin, if you have any thoughts. But that's the big issue that we have, is just finding an adequate space to meet, and so we can spread out.
So I'm sorry, this is quarantining right here.
Yeah.
This is quarantining, yeah. So you
Okay,
can see
and
those
then
bins.
what's in the other half, contactless pickups?
Yeah, so staff is set up their tables and computers set up in there for staff to do
So
that.
let me just add, do you have a picture of the other room?
I don't, but I mean, there's,
If you remove the chairs from the boardroom and rearrange those other tables, could you put contactless pickups in the boardroom?
no, not logistically, no, because staff have to run out to, they'd be all the way in the back of the building. Yeah, you can't.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
My bigger concern is if the public comes, this shows no indication of where we put the public.
Yeah, because this is the space. I mean, if you look to the right of your screen, there's that kind of like just a little. See where the dark carpeting is? You know, it's pretty much right there. Then there's that divider, the wall. So there's just not a lot of room in this space. So, I guess we could look for another venue to try to meet in person.
Well,
Ideally, it would be
I
nice
guess
to.
my question is like, if we have, in the boardroom, we always have all those extra chairs in the back and nobody ever sits in them, but also, if we use that space plus, we'd have to sit on top of each other, but couldn't we spread it out in the boardroom?
What's going with the other half of the meeting room? That looks like just half of it.
That's correct. Yeah, the other half is staff. We have tables and chairs and computers set up in there for contactless holds pickup. So Andrea, remember you were in the building, you saw the staff doing the contactless holds pickup. Basically, that's been shifted into that meeting room.
Yeah,
So there's a little bit of space in there, but
lobby.
we can't really meet. Yeah. So
It seems to me that we should keep up our Zoom meetings until we're not allowed to do it anymore, because I don't want to put anybody at risk, and this works
Sure.
for us.
Okay.
Let's just
Agreed.
keep it that way unless anyone has an objection. I don't want to inconvenience the staff. And
Yeah.
we seem to get more participation also, more people attend.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Anybody not good with it? Okay. All right, items for next month.
One question I had is there, are we going to be able to come to the library to pick up our packets, or are we still going to do it electronically? Any idea on that?
I think we could do that. Gina, do you disagree with that, or?
That's fine. I can go
Yeah.
and print the packets and on the Friday, or do you want them some other day?
No, I was just curious. I know I don't print it all out, but I do read it, and sometimes I like it to have it in front of me when we're at the board, at the meetings. I'm
Right.
I'm a paper person, so.
Well, if you decided that you need a physical packet, I can do it. Just let me know when you want it, because I'm not coming to the library
All
every
the time, right.
So I just come like if I need to.
I understand. Well, I don't want to put any extra burden on you, Gina. That's silly. We can just keep doing it this way.
No, that's okay. If you just let me know.
Okay.
I do
I
really,
like the digital copies, Gina. I think you're doing great.
you are, and I really appreciate how everything is bookmarked.
Thank you. So if you need it, just send me an email that you want the physical packet.
Thank you, Gina.
Okay, so nobody has agenda items for next time other than what's on here? Okay, anyone want to speak in public forum? Okay, anyone have announcements? Who would like to move to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
I second that. We have to have a roll call though, please, Gina.
Andrea and Joe, yeah.
Kotsinis,
Aye.
Cheng,
Aye.
Farkapisi,
Aye.
Sutton,
Aye.
Dinsdale,
Bye.
Arnold absent, Beckwith,
Aye.
ayes have it.
Okay. I can't see the time.
Not a